Assalamu alaikum. If you can hear me, just let me know. I thank you. Tom, Sol, Sineki Amadiga, just can you comment to say that you can hear me loud and clear? I will just take 1 minute and to share the video, and then the program will start. If you just bear me, I have to just change here. The music will go silent, but I'm just taking 1 minute to share the video, and I will start the program. Okay, if you can hear me loud and clear, Tom, just please comment if you can hear me loud and clear. I just need to share this video quickly, and I'll start the program. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Yakombe. Okay. Okay, thank you, guys. Assalamu alaikum. Today is Monday, the 22nd of February 2021, and the time is just gone 20 minutes past 2 in the afternoon in Birmingham, England. Mbokk yi man la Sulayman Suwareh di ñëw tey the Monday the 22nd of February 2021 the time bi dem na 20 minutes past 2 o'clock si ngoon Birmingham, England. Mbokk yi waxtaan bi it's thank you Gambia at the Crossroads. I'm a discussion on this. And buguma discussion be yaga because I'm going to work, but I'll try to compress and get the information within a reasonable time. And some of these things we have talked about before. Some of them we had conversation about them. But I think it's important to revisit these positions to alert Gambians to where we are now in order to realize the urgency. Realize that we have to be very strategic, realize that we have to be very active in order to bring about change. And we have to participate in order to bring about change. That's all what democracy is. It's about participation. We might not get everything that we want or happy with the decisions that we end up taking up, but that's it. But we have our say. The point more, if we don't have our say, if we are not part of this change, the change will not happen. And when we sit back and let other people dictate the narrative, that's the change we're going to have, or that's the continuity we're going to have. If we want to have a share, make sure we see things as they should be, we have to participate to make sure that happens. There is no perfect nation. There is no perfect society. It's all depend on what a sizable minority does, not the majority. A sizable minority always would dictate the narrative. That's where the difference will come. If people with integrity, people with intellectuality, people with the love of our country decided to take part in what is happening, that country will go far and that country will succeed. And this is where the differences are. Because that minority would dictate and have support from the majority. But if we silence, then the criminals, the cabal, will just be empowered to divide us. That's how they keep us sitting down and pointing finger to each other rather than to come together with all our differences. Because there's no country, there's no people, no society that what we call about unity. It's not about that everybody have to wear the same color or everybody have to bear the same surname or anything. No, it's about that we have to respect each other's opinion and value and understand that what binds us together is greater than what separates us. And our interest is mutual, which is the peace and stability of that society or that nation. Now, how do we achieve that? That's where we have the discussion, where does we have disagreements. But as civilized people, we sit on a table or find mechanisms that we deal with these issues, and no one should be left behind, especially women and youths. The reason being, they carry the biggest burden of the nation. The women carry the biggest burden of the nation. The youths will carry the biggest burden of the nation because they are the ones that will pay for the mistakes that we do. But again, we are, as women and youths, we are not here to sit down and wait to be given the chance. We should take that opportunity. The opportunity is there. It's for us to take that up. It's not to, leave the generation that fail us, or the, and keep on blaming them. For the failures. And when we have all the brilliant ideas, when we have all the good intent, but what does it come to? What does it mean if we are not part of, we are not out there to do that? We cannot point to groups or associations or political parties and blame them for what is happening in the country. But we are not active in finding solutions or taking part in make sure we represent ourselves or represent our people and take that position of leadership. This is the essence of the discussion. It's about solution driven. We are in a generation, and it's a very youthful generation, a generation that we have the technology and social media that empowers and help us to echo, amplify what we do. In those days that we sit on a bantaba and make a statement at the stage at the bantaba, or take times to get to the other corners of our villages or towns or cities, those days are gone. We can be at our bantaba with our phones in our hands, and we speak to Gambians all over the world. That's how much opportunity we have. Then if we have the brilliant ideas, what's stopping us from doing that? To go out there, look at our problems and subscribe solutions and take a leadership to try to make sure, those solutions are actualized. This is that's what can take us out of where we are, but not to leave the narrative with the few. And the few that we have identified and know that everything is about them, we might, turn around to say that they are not representing us. That's not true. If they hold government appointments, positions, and paid by our taxpayers' money, and positions that are prescribed in our constitutions, in our law books, in our public acts, or anything else, they represent us. Are we comfortable with that? If we're not comfortable, we have to do something about that. Literally, what is. We cannot say, President, why I'm doing no. I'm doing whatever it is. He's your. He's in the position that you're paying for. If you paying for a service, you expect that service to be delivered. If the service is not delivered, look at the terms of reference. There's a way. It's a social contract. How do you get this contract out? Get them out of the contract. This is where the discussion. The issue of underestimating or overestimating barrel. It always come out. Yen dengan underestimate barrel. It always come out. Yen dengan overrate bar. Run way there. What is the truth here? What is the truth here? You know, there are many things in the Gambia now. We can look at, say, the Jammeh effect. And most of the things that happen in the country now, there's a lot of it is a Jammeh effect. We cannot just move away to say the Jammeh, it's not true. The 22 years of dictatorship have damaged and have entrenched certain behaviors, have entrenched a certain mindset in our people, that those mindsets have to be challenged. And that's what kept the dictatorship going and sustain it for 22 years. Until we realized, that's where the solution comes in again. Realize the position of leadership we need today. Realize the importance of inclusivity. Realize the importance of this diversity. Realize the importance of approaching things strategically. Realize the urgency of issues. Realize of picking up the momentum. That's when we brought about and started to engineer the change. That's why we cannot just say the Jammeh, we have to forget about that. There's an issue about the Jammeh effect, the lazy approach, the lack of interest in tackling the problems and capacity. These are issues that we have. People that have capacity want to just sit down there and point out at the problems, and they don't want to go out there. To actually take the lead or participate in trying to actualize those solutions that they have or know. They just want to call themselves intellectuals. They want to call themselves technocrats. They want to call themselves international citizens, international civil servants, whatever it is. But what is greater than the issues affecting your people? Where does your priority lie? Obviously, we start from yourself, family, but ultimately the society you come from. That contract that you have with society, that social contract. When we talk about social contract, we always talk about things in our elections, but we have a social contract. We were not born in Gambia by accident. We don't become a Gambian by accident. We didn't become a Gambian by choice. So few people did naturalized to become a Gambian. We don't become a Gambian by choice. Then once we become a Gambian or a citizen of any country, especially Gambia, we have responsibilities. Just as we claim our rights, we have responsibility, we have duties to discharge. And the people that are given owe that responsibility to give back. People that have the education, people that have the privileges, people, whoever, empowered us or whatever, but society is what gives you that. You owe that society to give back to that society. Yes, your primary responsibilities are there, but you should not limit yourself onto those primary responsibilities, not only to pay your tax, not only to get a job and pay the tax, but that extra to make sure society, is it built by volunteering, by whatever we do to see that, society moves. That lazy approach of when we look at things, we don't try to look at things holistically. We just carry the narrative of others because we are lazy. We expect people are representing our views, and we just take that view and run with it. We talk to people. We are not equipped to understand the prejudice we all have. We all have prejudice. Is this person talking out of prejudice? Is this person talking out of his interest? Yes, people will tell you something because that's the interest they have. And this interest, I'll tell you how funny it can be. This interest changes depending on who asks the question. You as an activist or someone they perceive to be against Barrow, you ask them a question or you talk to them, they give you the answer they want. The person they perceive to be supporter of Barrow, you ask them a question or talk to them, they give you the answer they want. That's why I say that's a lazy approach. We should be able to, to insulate ourselves when we look at issues of national importance or any issue, to make sure we guide that biasness. Let's look for evidence. Let's look for, let's apply logic. Because end of the day, it's our integrity here. End of the day, it's our nation here. That's the interest should be. There's no point lying to yourself. What the Wolof said, ne, am na jabar, te amulo jabar, su guddi jotee nga wetu sa njiganaay. But we find out that most people that come out to be advocate or something like that, look at their capacity. What capacity do they have to convince you? Why are they doing it? Ask yourself the reason why they're doing it. How truthful they can be. What would be their prejudice? What would be their bias? Is am I to take information from this person, or the information I take from this person? How do I treat that information? The gamma effect on the exaggerated, it all depends. That's what happens. You see, I give it why this example of Barrow, they cannot underestimate Barrow. As a soldier, we said this. You never underestimate the enemy. I'm not saying Barrow as an enemy. I'm saying this the philosophy in the military. In order to win a battle, they said you always have to overwhelm the enemy. That's why the Americans, you hear the shock and awe. You have to overwhelm the enemy. If your enemy is 15 a platoon strength, about 15 to about 30 people, 30 personnel, platoon strength, you need about 2 platoons. If their firepower, if it's of small arms, you need 2 or 3 weaponry that can suppress. I mean, these are the things. I mean, that's what you don't underestimate. Definitely, whatever you do, whoever you engage, you don't underestimate them. Try to get to find out how much as best as you can know about them, and then the element of surprise is there. Timing, and everything is there. I mean, you don't underestimate an enemy, but again, you don't overestimate an enemy because of it's important to maintain confidence. You should not lie. I know when people say propaganda, they think propaganda is lie. No, propaganda is not lie. It's a I mean, it's a campaign. It means a campaign. But you should not lie. But you have to keep the confidence of the people based on facts. Based on facts. That's why it's important to know the facts. I mean, you should not scare your people, but you should educate them. And in fact, in a point, show them show the vulnerabilities, the risk, and how vulnerable we are. And that might allow them to take the issue seriously. But we should not go out to fabricate lies, outlandish lies. Because what effect would we have? We'll have the boy and the wolf effect. The day we tell the truth, people will not take us seriously. And we empower the others. In the case of about Germany, because of the lazy syndrome, we never took time, or most of us did not take time, or most activities. No, they just take any information out there, regardless who gave out the information, regardless how the information came about, and they run with it. They don't know the messenger, or they didn't evaluate the messenger, the strength of the messenger. I mean, what capacity does it have? I mean, is it logical? What is this? What is that? That's how evidences are found. Evidence all don't have the material evidence. Some might be circumstantial. Some might be this. That's how we assess it. Then you put a profile on that, and then profile in what sense? What's the likeliness of this, and escalate the analysis. Then you pick up a position, and from that position you can subscribe a solution to challenges. We never do that. We allow Jammeh to have a narrative and control that narrative, and we follow that narrative. The fear factor came into because of that first. You see, everything will start from messaging. Messaging is very important. Communication is ultimately what carries organization or operation to be successful. Messaging is important. That's why we have to understand messaging and people that message. This is what we are dealing with right now, because we support an opinion or we support a party or anything. Now, anybody that speak on behalf of us, yeah, we support. That's not right. That's not true. We are not doing favor to ourselves. That's why the underestimation, the overestimation depends on who you're talking to. I mean, where the information coming on from, because of this information are money. This is what kept Jammeh going on for that long. But the minute we take time to understand Jammeh, we understand actually we overrated Jammeh. Yes, if you look at it, you don't underestimate it. But look at it closely. How actually this guy is only surviving based on our fear, surviving based on our division, because we had to be divided first in order for the fear to get in. Then he can terrorize us. When he came first, the message was win our confidence. You know, you have to win people's confidence in order to influence them. He won our confidence by coming out to expose. His first statement was rampant corruption. His statement was the elite versus the masses. That's what they do. You don't listen to only what they say, but you look at what they do. This is their message was we are people, soldiers of a difference. Their message was trying to, be humble and to be plain disease. Our message was we represent it. That's what the message would be. Did we take time to look at, things? We would have detected things from an early time that, no, this is not right. But once they did that to win our confidence, the next thing was to divide us and them. They started our fajaras, our K points, our Jawaras luxury and other things. Did we take time to look at that properly? Did we take time to analyze that properly? No, our prejudice will come in there because of that's what happened. That's why the elite should always be careful. People that have none, or people that are deprived, or people who are disadvantaged, can easily be swayed to hate. Can easily be swayed to hate. People that are envious can easily be swayed to hate. That's why it's important that we behave ourselves, that we conduct ourselves in a manner that we don't, create an environment where we have people that would be envious to the extent of hating, people that are deprived to the extent of not able to, to, to to understand what might have happened, but just to be, to take it off service. That's the opportunity too. And then on, that's what went on. And he minute he got and he entrenched himself. Now is the other thing is the opportunity was limited, and he used nepotism. He used tribalism. But if I say tribalism, not to advantage one tribe, but to use the system of tribalism for us, because once we start to look at ourselves as a hegemony, like my tribe, my thief, if the minister that accused is a family, or even subscribe to part of my tribe, then I am not to hold that minister accountable. Or if the abuser happen to be my family or my tribe, I am not to hold him accountable. Then he can have an enterprise. That's why from the junglers, that's why from the financial crime, every crime that's been happening, been done by all of us. All tribes were in it, and obviously the bigger your percentage tribe representation, the likeliness of more people from that tribe participating. But every tribe and in fact again he used the minority and gave them a prominence in certain strategic positions in order to bring about a counterbalance, and all that was done for one person. You see, all of that was done for one person. That's what kept him going. You cannot plot against him. Everybody has to do something, and people have to do something to please him in order to survive, because if not, you will not. Or you have to leave town, or you have to be quiet in order to be safe. And he had ultimate control. Now, If we understand that was the problem, what took us that long to realize that we have to undermine him? How do we undermine him? We have to demystify him. How do we demystify him? Who carried the message? What message should we take out? How do we expose him? How do we hold him accountable? We went on how do we bring get push. Bring out leadership among us. How do we use that leadership in order to bring a unified, a movement, and in order to take him on? That's what happened 2016. That's why a lot of different people and things happen at the same time. And most people did not realize it was happening because of our lazy syndrome. We just look at something, things are happening, and people don't bother or cannot figure out why this is happening. Why is Yajami saying this? Why is Yajami behaving this way? Because that's where it comes out to say that you have to have that capacity. Again, that's why to listen to someone, you have to understand what capacity, what authority does this person have to tell me this or say this. And then that's where you start to get that information right. Whether we underestimate or overestimate. My point here is, and I'll get to that. My point here is when I came out 2015 September, as August 22nd, today is the 22nd. There's a reason I'm doing this program today. 22nd. 22nd means a lot in my life. Today is the 22nd. I left the Gambia on the 22nd of September, 1995. It meant a lot. That's why 22nd means a lot. 22nd means a lot. There's a lot of things. It happens. It falls on the 22nd. And most of the time, I realize actually, oh, it's the 22nd. Not that every 22nd something will happen, but most important things that have happened, have been happening on the 22nd. On the 22nd, was forced to be, not forced to be hard on the air, but forced to be permanently and consistently and actually decided that it's now or never. It was on the 22nd, 2015. 2014, a recording of mine where I spoke in a meeting in London, got the Freedom newspaper, Freedom Radio, and it went out. And people call me, you mad, you 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 don't want to go back to, you don't want to visit Gambia again. Why are you saying this? Freedom, everybody's monitoring freedom. What you said about Gambia or this thing. You'll be tired. Why? Because my choice of coming out was not dictated by anything else. That I know that the time was right. I know, I was responsible of what I'm doing. I've been present. I mean, kept myself safe, and I did what I did strategically. Keep the way the things should be, the way it is up to the time. I've seen possibilities, and I used my experience and expertise, and said, look, I told the people that matters in my life that actually this is what I'm going to do, and I went on to that. That's ready. But 2050 was important year to experience. When I came out, August, people first people started asking, who is this guy or what is talking about or is interesting. Getting to a point, I remember when the Kalama Revolution fell, that was in April, May, June, people started to worry because they believed that this was like the confirmation that nothing can take Yajam out. People will not come out. It failed. People will not come out. Everything will not. I refuse because I understand that these people actually don't understand the success of the Kalama Revolution. I understand that these people don't understand how change do happen. People don't understand the gains we have here. And now we have to continue. We have to continue talking ourselves and something because I know it's out there. It's gonna happen. And as of that time, people that have concern Some of them I knew from the air, I mean from the media. Others I knew from this thing started to call me to say, be careful. You are making promises. I mean, you are. I mean, somewhat. Some people have been called to contribute to say, "What you're doing is so good, but be careful. You are giving people too much hope." And this thing. I said, "Look, I am not saying I'm going to do it. I'm saying that we can do it. I'm saying that it's possible. And I am not just saying it. Listen to me. I am pointing to evidence out there that Yaya Jame is not strong as people think. Yaya Jame is only strong because of us. We are behaving. We know all these problems. These are the problems because we always talk about the problems. But what are we doing to bring about the change? This is, and I said, if we go to elections alone, forget about it. Defend it. But if we go together, that's what's the point. People thinking of how do you bring Gambians out? The only time Gambia will come out is elections. And I know that from history, from my training, from my experience, a dictator will never go out by election. But you can use election as a mean to get the people out. That was the reason we advocate for elections or get the people out. You think Uganda will ever be liberated because people go to elections? No. But because of people will be coming together and the power and to I mean, demystify the leader to undermine him and bring confidence into the people and people take leadership and ultimately will go. But it will take many approaches and it will take time and a strategy has to be in there for that to happen. And this is what happened. And other people went on to do other things. You see, when you're doing your stuff, it's important just to realize that other people are doing what they do. And you all will complement each other. We all go different routes attack and will come to the same point. This most important thing is what bound us together. What's our objective? Our objective is for Yajame to go. We can do that. But in that, do we think of Gambia? Yajame goes, what do we do with Gambia? And whoever followed my these things, that's why 20 the minute Yajame was this before Yajame, we made programs about security sector reform, programs about this have to change in Gambia, this have to be changed. We did that. And we did we when the minute Yajama was leaving, we talk about security reforms, we talk about other reforms, we talk about this. That's why people straight away thought, oh, you just change this government and you're attacking the government. No, it was something that was important to do. So that when we work together and apply the right approach, not a lazy approach, participate in things, we can bring about change. If someone said overestimate or underestimate Barrow, that's a fact of both. But depends who the person who is making the analysis, who the person who's advocating, who's making the statement, what is his background, what does he know, what does he know. Not only that, what is he saying? Is it his prejudice? What is his track record? Where's the evidence? If you said to me that Barrow is not, I'm going to give you an example on that. Move on to the other part of this about the. I am bringing about the. These are about to deal with issues how we approach the finding solutions. We talk about the problems. We've been talking about problems. We bring the problems into context. Anyway, control of narrative. Uh, Underestimating the Gambian and the failure of leadership expected from others. Control of narrative. As I said, message is important. You see, Barrow is trying the same thing Yaya Jammeh tried. The problem with Barrow is two things. The people doing it. Another thing, the environment is completely different from Yaya Jammeh. The fear is never there. People can challenge you. People can challenge that information. Through ultimate control of power, monopoly of power, he doesn't have it. These are very important things. Ultimate control of power. Nobody defies you within the administrations of governance and everything. Within the be the press, be the civil society, be political parties, be civil servants. Any day that he says something, people will leak a document. The environment of monopoly over information. Nobody cares about GRTs because they don't have a monopoly anymore. Social media have the monopoly. You have to be effective in social media. Then you need the people to do it. That's why I say the people. He doesn't have the people that can do that. He is struggling to control the narrative. He has the strategy. That's people say, hey, book of your strategy. When I was talking about it, hey, no, you work too much. Ideas. Do you know the incubator you have for ideas? He was paying private contractors, international agencies that works on intelligence. That's why today we can see the lack of capacity, because most of the things that run that country was run by Yajame through internet, not the people he appointed. That's why he can appoint any dropout to a position, and what Yajame wants to come out of there, because Yajame dictates that. That's why we see when these people, Yajame is no more here, these people confront them, because they have never run anything during the course of their time in office. It was Yajame. It's not, he had the idea, okay, but this is the idea, but who carries them? Who implements them? It doesn't know. You see, the issue about Thrive, the message about Thrive, that's a Yajame strategy. He's trying it. It's backfiring. That's why we always have to keep on saying it. Yes, it's a mechanism that has been applied, been used, and some of us fell for it. But typically, that's not. We have the think about trying to divide us. They think about projects in the NAFI project. That's all strategy behind them. Trying to keep our hope onto this. But the problem is here. Again, the environment is different. Yaya Jammeh inherited a better administration, and gradually he dismantled that to form the resemblance of institutions that he wanted. That was his weakness. You see, the resemblance of institutions was an advantage for him to do what he wants. But again, for us, me, when I was strategizing, that's the disadvantage I've realized that he have. Then nobody, these institutions are not functional. I can run the army from here. I can undermine the army from here. I can undermine the NIA from here. What do I do from messaging and other things? What do I need from this and that? And that's it. I sit in my apartment in London, and with limited information, I can work with that information and destabilize these people. I can win over confidence of strategic people around him, and in order to have control over him. This was important. This is important. Don't underestimate the Gambia. Control of that narrative, and then you take the narrative out from Yajame and you control it. Yajame become disoriented in the effect of things, during the course of the revelations. A lot of things will come out, and there might be a necessity to take certain actions that would, instill fear into Yajame himself, and that will undermine his confidence. Once his confidence is undermined, he will lose track, he will lose control, and then you will have a control of that narrative. Because of now the confidence he have, they will lose. Once he lose control, he lose confidence, the confidence around him will notice, and they will see that something is unraveling here. And because of everything that around him are opportunists, they're not ready to die for him. They are ready to kill for him because he have control, but they're not ready to die for him. That's why when I said in the impasse nobody would fight for him, and people thought I was crazy. No, they'll only fight if they're cornered. That's why you understand. Don't corner them. Don't put them in a corner. Get them out. Expose them. Give them a path to get out. Don't keep them out. Don't allow. Yajame kept them as a hostage. Don't. Give Yajame the power to kiss. This is what Barrow is dealing with now. He's surrounded by opportunities, and hence Barrow cannot confidently. Where Barrow is completely disoriented. He is indecisive. He cannot control the narrative. And these people have realized that the guy doesn't have what it takes. They don't believe in him. They don't believe his message. Yajama was able to make these people believe, these opportunities to believe, but no. These opportunists are in fact taking abusing or taking that advantage from Barrow. Now, Barrow gives them 100,000, 10,000 would be going to where Barrow thinks it's go, just to keep Barrow satisfied, thinking that he have the support, and the 90,000 will go to their own personal project, because that's what they know that's going to happen, and they don't believe that what they're seeking on is sustainable. They have to prepare themselves for life after Barrow, because they know that next administration coming would not be favorable. And some of these people who are sitting on strategic positions now, they are opportunists. Some of them in cabinet, some of them in parliament, some of them in cabinet. They don't want the next administration to prosecute them. They are already looking at feelers. Some of them might be even talking. Some of them, I said, might be talking to opposition in order to curry favors. You see, when we get Yaya, where we wanted him, that's why we were having quality information. And Yaya was kept listening, because money to do that. Some of these people, so-called this thing, are talking to opposition parties in order for some of these permanent secretaries or technocrats, we saw them. Yeah, they are talking because they want a continuity. Because what we realize with these current technocrats or this thing, life they have in government in Gambia, it's not a life that they can have outside Gambia. They don't have the competence to operate, I mean, at that international level. They don't have the competence to operate in the private sector, because most of these people, they've just been elevated by the system. I'm not saying the system there. You become, you graduated with your BA in 3 years, you are deputy permanent secretary, because of you managed to get your master's in 2 years after, and you are attempting your doctorate. They think that's what it takes to be a deputy permanent secretary, assistant permanent secretary, and others. There's no system to build this thing. Within 5 years, you can even be the secretary general. Now, if you leave a position of secretary general, I am not personally getting to Sabali, but I'm giving an example of Sabali. But people like Sabali, or whoever got to that position, where are they today? But the people that have the competence, that came into government with competence, or were there in time of Jawara and managed to build themselves properly, when they were let go, they went to the international community and they proved themselves. Some of them went to the private sector, they proved themselves. The only problem was they could not stay in the Gambia because of, regardless of, even they don't care about this thing, they will be prosecuted. They left and they did well. They went to the international community. But how many of these other people keep on going back to Jammeh, begging Jammeh to give them a job? That's the best they can be. And what is allowed there, they can have the wealth and they cannot perform anything better. These are issues that is hampering Barrow now. That's why I say the narrative is very important. And we talk about how this narrative is controlled. In the case of Jammeh, in fact, you realize from November 2015, something changed. See, when people who were doubting after the Kalama Revolution didn't know timing, timing was important. And this time now, again, timing is important, depends what we do. Different people will do different things. Concentrate on what your strengths are, and advocate for that and push that to happen. If you are within the political parties, do the best to empower the democracy, get people informed, mobilize your people, whatever it is. But ultimately, the leadership have to do the right thing in order for stability to happen, so that we can have a credible elections, and the Gambian people can decide. Then we will be in a better place. And whoever Gambian people decide to be the next person to form government, we will be satisfied with that. But not only that, we'll have a vibrant opposition. Very important to have the opposition. If we have one party ultimately dominating everything in that country, we'll go back to the same. There's no good politician. Good politicians is the politician who are accountable. That narrative got control. Underestimating the Gambian. Who brought about change? It's Gambians. Gambians were underestimated, saying that they cannot have independence. No, we forget very easy. We drop the ball, we easily drop the ball, we don't keep the momentum. But just as we were doubted when we seek independence, our founding, fathers, went out there, sophisticatedly negotiated and got us independence. Whatever it was, something to start with. Did we keep the momentum? No. The same thing, we had opportunities in the country, and we had a good start. It was difficult, but the leaders, I mean, tighten the drawstrings, or what you call them, and carried on. But the politic of opportunism, and then just got us where we are today. 2016, the world doubted us, and actually, academically, academically, um, that's what the book says. A entrenched dictator cannot be taken out and through a ballot box. That's the academic facts. It had never happened. Then something, blood will be spilled. Something will happen. You might get to civil war in order to bring about change, to start the change. No, we changed that because of, again, as I said, don't underestimate the Gambia. And in many successful stories in the world today, you find Gambians which were part of that. Be in the tech, be in the, any form, Gambians, small Gambia, yes, we are in it. Even the vaccine recovery, you go to tech, you might not know about them, but they're there. But do you know, if it comes to the bad things, in fact, Gambians are there. The killing of Thomas Sankara, you have about about a squad, about 6 to 12 Gambians were part of the people that went and killed Thomas Sankara for Charles Taylor, because if Thomas Sankara would not allow his country to be used by Ivory Coast, by France, by these things, the Americans, in order to destabilize the Dole. Compaore easily, got over by to betray his friend by F1. And now Charles Taylor have to support, um, Thomas, Compaore, because Compaore did not have enough elite forces to take over the Sankara. Then the Gambian mercenaries that already were with Charles Taylor in Burkina, with the other Liberians, form the backup squad to storm the office and kill Sankara and the same. Then when this thing, they facilitated them and they start their war. Go and ask the jihadists in Bosnia. How many Gambians were jihadists in Bosnia and other places? We are capable of doing anything if our heart comes to it. We are capable of doing anything in our heart if our hearts come to it. We might be small, but we are equal to any nation if we put our heads and heart to it. What it takes should be about our leadership to do things. And when we said the average Gambian, or they said Gambian Bujang would be old, that's just an underestimation. Because of the leadership always abuse their goodwill. There are people that we call naive because they have a goodwill. Just as even our Senegalese families, I'm not talking about government level. We all know our relations with our families in Senegal. They Gambia me corner because of our generosity is seen as naive. Um, we can easily be exploited because our generosity, because the people we are, but doesn't mean that we are not capable of doing other things. The Gambian people, I'll point to a particular segment of iAfrica program. They went to, I think it's Serakunda market, if I'm right, or one of the markets in the Congo. They did this they, at random. question about three, four people, I say one gentleman and three women, and just hear how these people articulated the issues, their concerns, and you check. They've not been informed. These are not things that people inform them. This is their experience they're talking about. This is not a political position. This is a basic. And you just realize, what's the opposition doing? These people are ready to be part of the change. If they are taken advantage of, it's because of us not giving them that leadership. Because they don't see the position they have in leadership. They think that the educated Gambian or the person with the certificate or the person who dare go to call himself educated is the leader. They are followers. That's what they think. Now, we are abusing that. That's a goodwill they're giving us. This, give you an example. A gentleman spoke about, I cannot remember entirely, but my understanding of what they said, of the problems, the cost of living. Which political party is on the ground articulating this and giving solutions to this, telling us how this is going to happen in a language, in a manner, in a message, in a way that will convince people to follow you. But no, we look for Ben Suwareh. Oh, let's try and get Ben Suwareh, regardless of Ben Suwareh's past in the APRC or anywhere else, regardless of who Ben Suwareh is, because Ben Suwareh is perceived to be influential in Bakau because he's from Bakau. That's why it's perceived to be influential in Bakau because there might be a section of Bakau who are of fullers. He will influence. That's how we now let's take Ben Suwareh regardless. Now when we come to government and we use Ben Suwareh to do that, what we expect to reward Ben Suwareh with? Because Ben Suwareh is doing it for a reward. And do we expect to bring about change when we have the likes of Ben Suwarez that we depend on, who were not, we know their characters, we know the kind of people they are, we use them to mobilize for us. We expect those people to be different or our government to be different. We accept money from people who have questionable background. They are business people that would robbing people and doing things. We expect that we bring about laws or bring about policies or do anything that would be people going on sand mining and giving us money. People exploiting our rivers and giving us money. People exploiting our. How do we going to have an environmental policy? No, these are the issues. But rather than we go for the Gambian people and mobilize them based on policies, this guy articulated the issue about the struggle. Everything is expensive. Now, some of us, he said, some of us, we sold our land and give it to our, give the money to our kids to go to Europe. Now they've been repatriated. The important about this, yes, Gambia, we have to ask ourselves, why Gambia? Gambia cannot say that they will not accept, but Gambia can use diplomacy to gain something and make sure something is done. And we have the means. Not only we have the means, we have the resources, we have the money, but we are not managing that. But regardless of that too, whenever we do negotiations, we can negotiate for something. We said this from the beginning, especially when we came out from a dictatorship. We have a condition that we can put out there to explain the plights of our people. If we are to receive, we have to receive because we cannot even deal with what we have here. And it's a national, it's not a Gambian problem. It's a global phenomenon. Now we have to deal with this. In a sense, you have means to support. It's costing in the United Kingdom cost about 24,000 minimum, up to 60,000 pounds to keep one asylum seeker. Keep one asylum seeker, and these people want to get rid of them. Do have this government ever put out a comprehensive program to explain how migration can be managed? How they ever put a comprehensive program to say all other things? Do you realize that the German president came to the Gambia for reason of what? About the migration issue. He went to Ghana, he went to our other countries in West Africa. Gambia is the only country that have not followed up to, present to the Germans a comprehensive program for this. Ghana did. Ghana now are benefiting from German investment, and that is creating jobs and keeping people. And they are, these are the things they do. We took the president to the GTTI. But you know what this Gambia government ended up doing? Begging for money, and some money was given to them, and we all know where that happened. And do you know what this government is doing with that money? Most of the money that comes into the country, or our revenue, the government is in cahoot with private banks, just as Yaya Jammeh used to do. They open accounts and use our money into those accounts to make a huge interest, and those interests are shared with business people who operate those accounts with them. This is another way of corruption that is happening. That's why some of them are supporting Barrow. They might not come out to show their support. They're supporting Barrow is because of this corruption. And these people are controlling a narrative, telling you, hey, Barrow of win, Barrow of win. Ask them the proof. Hey, they can support. Why? That's, oh, ask them the proof. No, Hamga, UDP. They bring UDP into it. That's the narrative they want. They want Gambians to decide Barrow or UDP. Why not any other person? The electoral, I mean, um, consequences in the Gambia should not be dictated by two parties. It can be dictated by 3, 4 parties, and there's no proof out there. The standard conditions, the kind of standard of living, and every other thing, and all the other things that Barrow should even be in the ballot. We talk about all things. Many other people are benefiting. This is what the gentleman said. Now, who is underestimated here? The Gambians been underestimated. What failed here is our leadership as opposition. A woman, one of the women said that they buy catfish, corn, from Senegal or Guinea-Bissau. That's enough statement for us to talk about our fisheries policy. But they buy these things now, just as now they are buying horticultural produce and other animal this thing from Senegal. Now we are buying fish and from Guinea-Bissau and Senegal. This is an error. We used to export to West African countries, to Ghana, Sierra Leone, Liberia, and other places. But now we are importing on the barrel. 4 years, what is the decision? Are we talking about that? Political party telling us an alternative? No. Now, that woman said that they buy 3 panya or 2 panya, 2 baskets. They cannot sell it because of the fish the corn is expensive. The clients they have to be empathetic. This is the people that supported them ever. They have to reduce the price for them in order to have a sale. Remember, this woman is selling in order to feed, because he's not going to eat the corn. He's going to buy other condiments to eat. He might be paying rent, might be paying other transactions. Not might, she will be. She'll be paying for transport. She wants a profit to maintain the business. Without profit, the business will collapse. And actually, that's what the woman articulated here. Said that the other 2 baskets, then we have to give it to other people that buy, retailers that buy from us. But we cannot even pursue for this money back. We have to wait for them to give it to us when they can, because of the same constraint they have, the same constraint other have it. Why is the opposition not going out there to articulate these things and give them hope? You think these people, if you articulate onto them, you think they care what tribe the person articulating? You are talking about their problems. They already know their problems. You tell them a solution to the problem. Why that these things should stop. The other lady talked about, this was a cost of like going to buy. It's not like one selling. Talked about, nah, you need $300 for to have fish to cook a day. Now multiply that by and I mean, if we cannot afford fish, we know that we don't talk about meat or other things. We are not talking about others. It just shows you the people are underestimated. Let's get to our people and tell them, engage them, and let us not depend on dishonest people, people that are overrated because of the idea made them important. These people are not even respected in communities, but we want to maintain them and to give them a respect that they don't deserve in our communities. Why would politicians do that? But again, politicians might do that because of the other Gambians want to sit there on their hands, thinking that they're important. They don't have to be in politics, or they are too good for the politicians. Let us not underestimate our people. They are articulating their problems. They're talking about education. They're talking about standard. They're talking about everything. They're talking about their children being repatriated without any programs. What is the government doing? In the contrary, they have seen the evidence that the transformation of Barrow and everybody that follows Barrow. Now, even look at the tailoring. It's not about being envy. To crap, they cannot quite us, make us quite that we are envious. We are envious. No, we are talking about this because it's our resources. They take it. They do salos. Now, look at what they were. Why? It's not their salary. How much are they paid? If even they're paid that much, what do they have to be paid that much? For a Bharat agenda? Who is paying for that? We are. We have the right to hold them accountable. But he said it all. He said that people know where the money is. The party NPP is about money. People know where the money is. Now then, we should not, as I said, blame Gambians. We blame us not taking that leadership. And we blame for ourselves for failing that leadership. I'll blame ourselves for expecting other people to do it for us. We expect other people to do it for us. If Dr. Ceases, young people like Dr. Ceases and the young CA with the young people, they manage to galvanize, tells you that if you go out there, young people want to be or want to be part of that leadership. How do we afford to get people on? Why do we target people that because of we know that hey they are followers? But what followers? What guaranteed them followers? Do we ask ourselves? There are Gambians who have influence. Why do we not go and get those Gambians to be part of it, or why those Gambians are not getting up to be part of it? We have broad choice here. We have so many political parties. If we are not satisfied, we can still be part of the solution by being part of civil society. We can be part of the solution by independently, but we are more effective when we are part of a team or a movement. We can be effective by creating teams to do our bit. That extra bit has to be done in order to bring about the change. The other point is being strategic and timing. And I said that influence is not measured on the size of what you have. The influence is measured on how strategic are you in employing this. And I'll tell you, we have seen where individuals have been very strategic, and within a short time, they have, make great strides. In fact, to be point of looking at it, they have been part of the catalyst. I say part of the catalyst of that change. Some of them were fortunate not to lose their life. Some of them were fortunate not to be in prison or been arrested. But certain people played a very crucial role in bringing about the change. That's why the point about the strategy is important. We have to be strategic. How do we hold things accountable? What do we do in order to impact? What's the point of dealing with this? What's our priority? We should understand priorities on when we deal about things. And we should understand timing. Some of these things you don't see the green shoots now. You start to cultivate the land, you have to keep the land fertile. This is where the conversation starts, where you think that it's impossible to get this land to be soil to be fertile. because of the amount of gravel, amount of other foreign objects that are not compatible or that are not there to decompose to be part of the organic matter to keep the soils fertile. That's where you do the picking. You separate the non-organic and leave the organic matter and nourish them by watering them and keeping the topsoil. The strategy is here, the topsoil, because that's the topsoil that will nurture and bring about when you put the seeds and bring about the green shoots to start to come out. It takes work, it takes dedication, it's a matter of time. The Gambia, we have lost that momentum in 2016. We have to try to recapture that momentum. But the change process we should be in is unfortunate. We lost 4 years. In fact, not lost 4 years, we digressed from our position that we achieved in the 6 weeks of campaign to elections and had and gained that. Now, where is this strategy here? When we talk about 2016, we have to put it in context, not to try to look at what divides us. That's what they want. That's what they want. What the context is here. When it gets to the polls, Gambians will decide based on the argument we made. But Gambians will decide again what advances us. It's about what advances us. The issue about history is to help us to have all the materials necessary to evaluate. Why should I give my vote to Ben? Yes, the history will come into it. But again, will come to choices. That's why it's important that we make sure we enrich that choice. We enrich that choice. If we want a good year, we have to go through selection process and select the best crop out of the seedlings we have. We have to, in order to have the seedlings, we have to select the best crop. That selection process have to go through. And if we have that pool of people, leaders to select from, we'll be in a better place. Whoever wins would win based on merit, not based on tribe, not based on any nonsense, based on convincing the Gambians. Because of we all work together to be informed, to know about the past, this thing, and now they have took everything, our problems and everything diagnosed. Now they propose solutions, and now the solutions would be something that should take us. Now we decide from this. But no, they want to keep the narrative to be 2016. Now, people who are not, this is to keep it there to divide us. We all know what happened. Give us a chance and bring out the best out of us in order to select. Then we do the selection. That's what democracy says. That's what the democracy says. We have to be very strategic in understanding the distracting us. We understand the strategy of dividing us, understand of keeping the narrative to be about Barrow and Dabo. That's not right. It's about Gambia. And we might have different people to come out and we choose among them. Why should we rule out anybody? We rule them out because of they have not proven themselves. Then whoever you believe in, whatever you believe in, empower that. Do that strategically. Know that it's a matter of time. We know what's happening today. You have to be prepared. And I said so many people are doing different things, and they all these things we complement. When we do it right, we complement each other. 2016, that's what happened. People gave up. Kalama Revolution came, failed, and everything failed. Yeah, I kind of failed. Yeah, but what happened? 6 weeks, something came out because of we complement each other. We cannot give that credit to one person. We have to look at from the sources. That's why I said the sources of the Kalama Revolution and other things. As we said, dogali yala tam yenen from nyoe. But we don't just say dogali yala. Dogali yala would not fake. We are doing something. About that. That's why we have what we have. It's important to be strategic and timing. And this would just let me just yeah, I think I need to speed it up. This is the problem with these things. You want to have a short program, But as you discuss it, it opens up. But I want to touch on to this something I shared. Okay, why this is important here. From people that have listened from the beginning will see why I went on to this is what this post here, that's what this morning seeing this post from the memory of Facebook 1 year informed us. But again, is the at times when you this memories come. In the case of Gambia, you think is you can just post it now and people it will still be relevant because of that's how stagnant some of the issues are, or how digress we are. We are not progressing. I said no amount of money will make Barrow win the elections. What is against Barrow is incompetency and corruption. The Gambia's standard of living will be worse off. Gambia's standard of living will be worse off. This thing. Present a credible alternative and organize use social media effectively. That's what I said. I don't say that Barrow would not make it because of Ben Suarez. No, I said we will not make it because of corruption and incompetence. The amount of money he's spending would not change his fortune. But now we have seen that it becomes toxic. Now everybody's running for the money and not delivering. And because of he have not shown or the environment is not conducive to his dictatorial tendency to have absolute control and do what you want. He's been challenged by institutions, challenged by people, and the Supreme Court have been coming on the side of justice. Now, what is happening here? Price rise, the cost of living have been going up. The reason why? Corruption, incompetence, lack of a strategic development plan. Because where's the NDP? It's normal because of everything is about Barrow's agenda and project. I said present an alternative. I didn't say present UDP. I didn't say present PDIS. An alternative. It can be any movement. It can be. I don't. And it's not about one person. It's about what people want to do. It's Gambians. It's a democracy. Why the Gambia standard of living will be worse off. Present a credible candidate and organize use social media as effective. You know, people say, "Wow, Ian, you make a social media. You don't make a social media." It's a lie. Probably you don't have what it takes to understand Luneka social media and Luneka Gambia. Luneka Gambia is projected on social media every day on time, whether you can see it or not. Even the false narrative, it's part of the narrative. Why is that false narrative present? I'll tell you this. If you probably you don't understand in importance of information. In my line of work, when I was engaged in contract security, um, I've not all the projects I've worked on. 90% of the countries I've never visited, but I managed to work on them based on the information we have from from the availability of internet technology, but more so based on what we can analyze from the feeds on that's in those countries' social media. If you understand now how many elections have been determined from social media, you know Senegal's last election. You know how much the Macky Sall have spent on social media. You know how much social media influencers have been bought. You know Nigeria how much they spend on social media for Buhari. Do you know Uganda what brought Bobby Wine to this level? It depends whether you have what it takes, you understand it to do it. But social media can be because of you just have to just have to understand this. We have to understand what it does. But I said this was last year. Do your appraisal, do your own appraisal. How is the cost of living? How's the cost of living now? You know, why did I say it's going to be up? When a government comes to think that they can have political projects, what political projects do is not based on the appraisal done on the land and the need. Every infrastructure is necessary, but the priority and this fund, this should be a comprehensive approach into this. There should be an assessment on the environmental impact, on social, the social, impact, and economic, social, economic, cultural, all the so-called impact. It's important. You just don't come, oh, put it up, I say, put this, you have support. What is happening here? We have seen what happened to Farafenya and Soma because of the bridge, the way it was constructed, pam, 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 push, push, because of we've been pressured, we build that bridge. What else did we build to make sure that jobs lost from the coming of the bridge to create jobs because of the bridge? Did we do that? No. Now Farafenya and Soma are hurt and other this thing. Who are benefiting? Now Kir Senegalese territory and Casamas are benefiting. Now the ecotourism, now they cut the distance, and there are many things, trade and other things. Now they cut the distance of travel, time of travel. Now the cost of, now they can bring something from Casamas to Dakar in 6 hours. It might have taken a day in most cases because of the delays at the ferry. But that delays at the ferry have created what a market for the people that people to sell at the ferry. But now we're taking that bottleneck there. Now they can go straight into Dakar for 6 hours. Now the cost of certain things have been reduced because of the transaction. We talk about the cost of this thing. I said, and Gambians will tell you why naka la ñoo jaayee jën Gambia laa jógee duutir fan la duutir di jógee duulin fan la duulin di jógee maalo fan la maalo di jógee. Now, did we invest in to make sure we have this? What we produce, do we put value in it? Do we add value on what we produce? Do we add value on our groundnuts? Did we empower to make sure our people produce rice? When we build the bridge, did we think of reservoirs that can be created as the PPP government was thinking about a bridge barrage so that the fresh water can reach the communities? What else investment did we do? Productive industry. What is investment did we do that? No, we went and borrowed. Where did we get the money? We borrowed from, in fact, the domestic. We borrowed internal and borrowed the domestic. What does it do when you borrow from the domestic market? What do we understand inflation? Do we understand the productive industry? How do we make this to improve our payment of balance and deal with our trade deficit? Do we understand this? No. It's about how can borrowing, okay, nañ leen dem def fii, nañ leen dem def fii pour borrowing. But again, we take this credit. How do we expect to pay for them? Because we have not invested these things in things that can pay for them. No. We went on to increase the transaction cost on anything that the government is to be paid for. It's been increased. Now we expect this increase will not affect the price of commodities. It will pass on. If I own a shop, if I own a business and cost of my tax and everything been this, I'm gonna pass it on to the consumer. And the government saying, and people saying price control. You cannot price control this open market. Price control is matter of, bring in a competitive market that people can able to sell. What have this government subsidized? The subsidize of fertilizer is all based on corruption. You will never see the evidence of millions of dollars they spend on fertilizer. It's not true. Most of it is inflated invoices, and part of the fertilizers that come into the country is being sold into other countries. Corruption again. Corruption. Incompetence and corruption. I said that would be the problem of Barrow. Now, to create, I said create an alternative. Now it's us. If Barrow would ever win an election, it's us. But you see, the incompetence of Barrow have even got him to a level that's impossible to win in free and fair elections. Impossible. But he can only win elections if we let him get us to a narrow path where he does whatever he wants and get away with it, which is very difficult to do because the environment is not that conducive. But depends. If we keep on following Barrow's narrative and causing up, that's what we're gonna have. This brings me to the position of Gambian opposition leaders going to Abuja. A few days ago, a few days ago, I saw the email. I came on social media and said about Gambian opposition political parties going to Abuja for the 22nd and the 24th. Why, why selling our sovereignty? Why undermine the sovereignty? One. Two, I said, who are the facilitators? Who is working behind this? Whose interest is this? When I said that, a good brother of mine who is within the political parties and very senior level said to me, "Ah, you're jotting Nakasa Sosby." And I mean, genuinely, because he was genuine. So Sosby, Master Sosby, one of because of, bro, the letter was, the email was sent on the 12th. Email was sent on the 12th February. Mawako exactly co-signed email. After a few hours, he came back to us, yeah, Jotnenko. You see, this is the problem we have. Political parties have to respect us. Political parties leaders have to respect their people. Political party leaders need to respect themselves. Political party leaders need to understand that you might think that you are doing this taking political opportunism. No, be very careful what you're working towards. We could do this ourselves. Why we expect someone else to intimidate, not intimidate, interfere in this process in order for it to be realized? Didn't we digress? Didn't we digress? When we asked for independence, the auspices was Gambians sitting on the table with their counterparts under the United Nations. That was for independence and everything else. The opposition, I have not seen anywhere where opposition party leaders have talked to their people about the position of going to Abuja. The only party that I know that didn't go is PDIS. I know. I don't know of almost every other party went. And I tell you, I know for different reasons. They went for different reasons. But ultimately, they have undermined themselves by accepting this interference. More so, even to talk about this under the auspices of anybody else in our country, within our territory, is an insult rather than going to answer to a country that is not even governable. Nigeria right now, all the northern states from Nigeria, Adama Awa, and every northern state in Nigeria now is under threat, been terrorized. A country that's have almost how many millions, almost a million soldiers, have how many thousands of police officers, thousands of secret service, thousands of customs, thousands of immigration are under siege. I know we are not talking to Nigeria, but who are we talking to? I'm saying that we're going to a country like that. What's the what? I mean, I'll come to the reason what we should have done. But this is politicians should know about. We are been taken for our right. Who are the people behind this? What interest do they have? You see, people have their own interests. This international IDEA or whatever you call them, they have their interests. I think they are under the AU. You know this funded by the AU and the EU. Funded, they are under the AU, funded by EU or Britain or international community. This is how useless these organizations are. These organizations are jobs for the people that run them. They need funding. They need activity to justify their funding. They will have to spend the funds in activities, regardless of what those activities are, but in paper, a concept that would fit the mandate they call up. One is the interest of the people that are doing this. Two, Goodluck Jonathan The person they use as an intermediary, as Goodluck Jonathan. It's Goodluck Jonathan's interest. Who is Goodluck Jonathan? Who should listen to you, Goodluck Jonathan? He's incompetent, he's corrupt. Go slow. Now we are following Goodluck Jonathan to tell us how to govern. But Goodluck Jonathan is building a political capital in this. And might be the reason why Goodluck Jonathan want this meeting to have happen in Nigeria. Because he want to rerun for elections. That's what Goodluck Jonathan wants. Now we know the people who are behind this, their interests. But who approach them? There are people thinking for Barrow. Now, how did we get here? Did we hold Barrow accountable for this? We should ensure that Barrow take the can for this. We did everything that was required. The government brought out a bill. That same government selected and appointed citizens that have the meets the criteria to be to take on this project, the CRC. They gave them a mandate through the Act of Parliament, us approving that mandate, because we approved that. We gave them the resources required, and that good resources were matter. They did their consultation. To draft it, they did a consultation up to the diaspora. They consulted every community in and out. Very effective. They came up with a draft. They brought that draft and consulted again the people on the draft that this is what we compile, this is our understanding quantitative, this is what they explain the mechanism they use to drive on this. Yes, Gambians, we came out and to say these are some of the points we don't want to come and we are not happy with. And mainly it was this about secularism, lack of secularism. To a point, some Islamists were saying that it's not enough. To a point, some not Christians, but citizens and some Christians group came out. Citizens and citizens said that no, we want this much. This was the truth. But yes, small. That's not major. These are where they measure this. The Gambians, for that matter, during the process of consultation, they all said the two-term. No Gambian should serve more than two-term. How do we capture this? Every consultation with the rural, urban, whatever, there's no position then who said we should not have two-term. There's none. It completely agreed on two-term. No Gambian should serve more than two-term. Another thing that came out was the abuse of power, self-perpetuation with the government, by and what we have seen. If you have not written this right, it will be abused. Macky Sall, Wanda have abused it, Macky Sall abused it, Guinea abused it, other abused it. Gambians agree on 50 plus 1 2. It was not this, I mean, 50 plus 1 was agreed by Gambia. Yes, small section said, no, it's going to cost this. For political reasons. We know that. But 50 plus 1 was to say, like, we don't want to be led by a minority anymore. We want a majority rule. But the other thing was this abuse of power. This first lady office. That's abuse of power. Now, the first lady this activity have to be audited. These things about appointing, sacking people, picking whoever you want, it's wrong. It's been abused. The executive don't need that. Now we have a mechanism here to control this thing. Barrow decided to use our resources to pay, to corrupt our legislators in order to deny us this. This is what happened. To deny us to have the opportunity to go and vote for what we discussed before, consulted on. He stopped it at Parliament. They took it to the Parliament and did not fight for it. Instead, they undermined it as a government. And when it happened, people came out to show their displeasure. Cabinet ministers came out. Balamin Job and others said that Gambian is a sovereignty. The EU should not be able to tell us. They said that. Their so-called supporters came out. They said the same thing. Now, the same people now have an interest into this. I mean, for this how to call it, constitution. What? Why did they want to see it different? Barrow now have realized that force past the post is a problem for him. He doesn't have a second chance. If he goes to the pool, he have to win. If not, he is in trouble. That's what he realized. Now, let me try a second chance. Now, I would want the 50 plus one in case I did not win an absolute, or someone did not win an absolute majority. If I lose and become second, I still have the position to try to bribe my way or fight my way out. This is what Barrow have realized. Two, Barrow have realized that we don't have principles. We don't have principles that he can cajole us in order to drop our principles, in order to look our political interests. And he, by that, he will have what he wants. Okay. This point I want to emphasize here. There's a way you hold onto the principle to make sure still it's not based on emotions. It's not based on emotions. No. You hold onto those principles and use those principles to get you what you want. If we want the draft, Gambians should get the draft, but not on the condition of Barrow having his way after what he did to us. We have to be very careful. We look at, as I said, look at the evidence here and be logical. If Barrow gets away with this one too, what next? Postponement of elections? Because Barrow is struggling to build a political party. I said that last year. I'm still saying it. Its evidence is still there. What the Wolof said when they came to the naming ceremony to unveil the child's name, the griots, the people that came for the naming, they left without knowing the child's name. What does that mean? After when Barrow was speaking, because the when do you unveil the name? After Barrow's speech, then you say declare these things, but the people were not there. That's a spectacular failure, so that the structures are not there, and people were there for different reasons, and they satisfy those things and they're gone. They don't care about Barrow or NPP. Now they're trying to event that, try to get another lunch or try to go on regional lunch again and continue to put our people at risk and to say that after the launch in Basse, we'll lock the country off. Now we go on to this position of what are we doing to ourselves, undermining our principles, our push standing, and going with Barrow to the to the stocks. Why didn't we hold Barrow accountable? Regardless, and we can hold Barrow accountable to the point that even Barrow might not even be on the ballot. Gambia can have an election without Barrow be on the ballot. If we continue this discussion, one, the timing. Now, if we allow, we are legitimating, we are taking part and legitimize the failures that Barrow is likely to pull on us. And we will be asked, the stakeholders fail, not Barrow. This failure is Barrow's and Barrow's to blame. Now, why? Now, if we go to we even go to Abuja to take part in this. Now we come back to say that, okay, we're going to negotiate. We continue the negotiation. While Barrow is doing everything to make sure the elections are not happening. Now, to the last minute, we talk about going to parliament and out of parliament. What time do we have? 6 months before elections, we cannot change a major law without a concession. Now, the word concession, that's what Barrow is hoping on. Now he can blame other people. We should not take any blame. He did this. He failed us. Why political parties are not coming together to say this? This is your mutual interest to hold this government accountable, to make sure we have a credible election. Why we not coming together to hold this IEC? 6 months. IEC did not have a deputy. The IEC chairman, even if he's well-meaning, he's over 80 years old. I am over 50. I don't have the energy I had when I was 40. And I definitely know at 80, my thinking, my energy, physical, mentally, will not be there. Now, nothing has changed in the INC. The capacity is not there. Are we talking about this? Are we thinking about this? We are talking about this INC pushing us to go for an election on paper ballots. Are we ready for this? But no, opposition are not holding up to that. Why are we going to Abuja? These are the issues we should hold on. And if any signs of Barrow failing, we ask Barrow to be out of the ballot, this thing, NPP out of the ballot. No, we are not looking at that. That's the interest of the state. No, we are looking at divided. As I said, what kept Yajama there? Divided. Lack of strategic planning. Lack of, people coming up genuinely to look at things and base it on principles and work on that. On this, PWIS did the right thing. They should not go. If they didn't go, they should not go. Apparently, they did not go. Other parties have their interests. But that's not the political, that's a political interest. It's not the national interest. You are undermining the Gambian sovereignty by going to that summit or whatever you call it. And it's fruitless. Now, another thing is going on a referendum. How are we going to have 75% of the vote? Now, we will be distracted and keep on campaigning for a referendum together for a yes vote with the NPP and everybody else, the non-parties, and we give them relevance. You see, some of these political parties or some of these people that says the GPD, ND, or whatever you call them, they have no relevance. But they always would be part of a wagon to have a relevant, to be relevant. And they will be scheming this thing. And when it comes to the last minute, they will side with Bell and say that, oh, definitely because of this, we cannot have an election. Let's go to parliament, have a concession, and defy this thing. And I'll tell you, if that happened, we might run into trouble. And I have to point to this, and I'm not going deep into it. Do you know the reason why APRC still have Yaya Jammeh as their so-called candidate or leader? Yaya is not stupid. Yaya know that he's not going to run for elections. Yaya know that he's not going to be eligible for elections. No. But he's the one holding APRC. And I said it, where is it? People said, yeah, Barrow is going to have APRC coalition. Let me see that. What Barrow can give to Yaya and assure Yaya. Yaya, as I said, you don't underestimate him. To give to Yaya, to make sure Yaya, to give him support, to entrench himself. And then what to, and after elections to pay. No, he have nothing to give to Yaya now. You cannot give what you don't have. If you can not assure your own security, how can you give Yaya Jammeh security? How can you assure Yaya Jammeh security? Tell me about that. When you are in a negotiation, you don't negotiate on things that I might have. Okay, if I get, no, you have to show me the agreement here. You have to give me this. If anything, you have to give me something. You have to partake in the contract. That's why they said, okay, pay me part this. I hold on to that. Pay me a deposit. There's nothing that Barrow can give to Yaya. What Yaya wants, Barrow cannot give to Yaya. That will not happen. But interesting things is going to happen. Timing. It's all depend on timing. But the timing Yaya is doing, the strategy and timing Yaya is doing is Yaya is waiting for that. Yaya don't want to be counted out. He wants to control the narrative, and that's what the narrative is. that he's still relevant in Gambian politics, and he have a stake in Gambian politics. That's why the Congress came out with it, and he maintained the same structure that only knows that they can only be relevant with him being relevant. What is interesting here is Yaya is waiting for that impasse to happen among us. Then we'll think of APRC to be part of the solution to our problems. When we could have dealt with APRC and forget about Yaya and APRC issues, but we don't want to do the right thing because everybody is looking at political capitals. That's what keeps Yaya relevant and APRC relevant, thinking that we need the APRC to be among us. They are citizens. We should get them among us by policy, but not because of we are scared to hold Yajame accountable on what Yajame have done. We have not even able to show our empathy or our support to our victims. We say, yeah, we say talk about Barrow, but what do we do for our victims? When do we talk about our victims? This is where the position we are. This is the position we are. Now we have to be very careful. What the I mean, as I said, what the opposition should have done is concentrate on matters before them. And as inter-party, let them take the right, I mean, come and hold the IEC and others. If they want the draft, let them engage government on the draft on those principles. If not, let go with the 1970s is the constitution of the Gambia. We like it or not, it is for now because we let Barrow do that to us. Now we have to deal with that. That's the same constitution that is governing us now. Same constitution that God gave us this government. Why should we bend over for Barrow? If we bend over on this, I'm telling you, we're going to bend over on something else. Barrow will try something else, and it might cost him something else. And I'll tell you, the timing, and I said timing. See what is going to happen. If nothing happened, that APRC would be relevant. And the only thing that will happen is us being destabilized. If not, close to elections, you see how much of APRC will go, because that's why they keep on this coming out with this news. Yaya Jammeh is coming. Yaya Jammeh will come because that's the only way they can mobilize. Everything's about Yaya Jammeh. But the last point here, I just want to give an example because this point is very relevant. Someone approached me about this. He said, "Why are you not thinking about the power plant? So Barrow defee lu baax da ngeen ko war a wax." Why mu ne waxuñ 20 megawatts power plant bu pare nekk Brikama. For that passing information, that power plant was ready 2 months ago, 3 months ago. Why you call inaugurate now? For political capital? Why should I do Barrow's job for him? If I am looking at something, I'm not looking at as a piece. I'm looking at that holistically. What does power plant represent? Is it sustainable? I'll get into details. That power plant would have been ready well before now. Because of COVID, they could not commission it. The experts that do the commissioning could not commission it. Why do I say I look at things holistically? Yes, we need the power plant. Yes. And why is this important? We could have this power plant 2 years ago, but this government was not interested after they went for the power plant. Can you remember the issue about car power coming to Gambia and the issue about John Jatta? When John Jatta said that we should not go for this car power, we should try and maintain what we have and try and go for our own power plant because already there's a company out there offering us this. But what these people are doing with car power is going to cost us more, and we are not going to get what we want from them. Because no, because Barrow was in it. Who lost a job? John Jatta, the person who was saying the right thing, giving the right advice, who knew better than them. He knew better than them. He lost his job, victimized for car power because car power, the kickbacks up to Barrow, up to Barrow. Now we'll come to that. We'll come to John Jatta's position again. Why the point of sustainability? We have to understand NAWEC's problem is not about generation only. To generate power is not only thing. Utility company like NAWEC is dealing with multiple services. They are giving us water supply, very important. They are dealing with sanitation in certain parts of the country, Banjul, I think. They are giving us electricity. Now, and you think NAWEC problem is only about generation. Now they brought we have 20 megawatts. Yes, that 20 megawatts will operate and will add to the grid. Did we solve the distribution? Did we solve the distribution problem? Now, if you generate 20 megawatts, how much the other plant in Burkama is generating? How many other plant in Kotu is generating? Yes, it gives you opportunity, chance to rest some of your plants and maintain the breed. It's good. But if you generate, you have born fuel. It costs you to generate. Spare parts have been in use and everything. And some of these spare parts, the more you use them, you have to change them. There are fuel pumps, there are air pumps, or whatever pumps there are, and different things. These are things that basically you have to, if you run them certain hours, they need to be changed. They're expensive. That's where the cost is. NAWEC spend 40% of their um, I mean, capital on fuel. 40%. We should look at competency and corruption here. Again, as I said, there's a problem here. Competence and corruption. NAWEC, 40% goes on fuel, 20% goes on spare parts. And these are just the normal spares. And when a major breakdown happens, obviously the costs go further. You ask yourself, why still now Gambia? We haven't solved the NAWEC problems. We have heard generators. We still have not solved the problem because the problem is not generation only. It's mainly of capacity of the people to run it. Corruption, people to run it. A cartel. A cartel is running Gambia. NAWEC. Can we remember the generation started in Banjul? Later part, they didn't have enough capacity, and some of the machines even were overused. They blew up, and we had the Kotu. And when we started the Kotu, we started with certain engines, and in fact, it was not enough to meet the capacity we need. Remember, we started to have hotels and stuff like that in the early 70s, mid 70s. The next minute, we have the Danida engines from Denmark. Now, why did they need the engines? On one part was about fuel theft. They think that to bring heavy fuel is one way to control the theft of fuel. They don't consider, in fact, the procurement of fuel, corruption in the procurement. They talk about the downstream when the laborers or the engineers or the ground troops will be loading fuel and stealing the fuel or stealing the fuel from the tank. They never thought about what about the bigger thieves, the procurement of fuel. And the biggest theft in NAWEC now is procurement of fuel. And who is benefiting from that barrel? Procurement of what? Procurement of what? Spare parts. They have the engines and everything. It was not sustainable. Because of what? Expertise in running the plants. They send some people training, they come, they could not be maintained. They are engineers, they are valued. Or something else they move because the structure things are not changing. People are keeping that you have people in position that will not be moved. Instead of giving the qualified things, no. Yaya Jammeh came into the play. He became more corrupt. He started to the first thing was distribution. How many million dollars? Basi came into play in 1995. It went on from there. From one procurement to another, deal to another. Yaya was in the second hand. This generation. It will. They bring a generation producing and expand the capacity on distribution for a short while. léegi day lampay correct na nga dem ba si kanam ñu start often on lu xew the other problems manifest again. Then Gamtel no sir NAWEC, it's not about only generation. What to celebrate at 20 megawatts, you have to understand the other things that come part of it. What is the part of it? We need it, but we need something more. We need capable people to look at the management structures and brave, and look at the capacity issues, and then diagnose the other problems and deal with them. The corruption, but the corruption cannot be dealt with because of Barrow is in the heart of it. Can you remember the money given to the first lady's account from the Chinese company? The Chinese company ended up winning a contract. Yes, that was bribery. And you see, people think that's the only money that the Chinese have paid to Barrow. No. When you do money laundering, there's a certain amount you push, certain amount you don't take them out because of it will raise alarming bell. You spend certain amount here, someday there, you divert them, distribute them. This is what might happen. They want a contract. Now, you think a company that pays bribe, you think they're going to give you the service you want? No, they're going to give you substandard equipment. And why do we have all this NAWEX transmission blowing and other things? Corruption. The equipments are not right. One. Car power. Let's come to car power. Car power, what they told us and what was happening was completely different. Car power was meant to come as an emergency measure. Car power is still in the Gambia. And car power would be in the Gambia as far along Barrow is in the Gambia. Because of Barrow is taking kickbacks and they're scamming him. And every time car power would just be making sure they renew their contract. Do you know why car power will still be there? This 20 megawatts generator is new. I'll give it a while. It start to develop problems and it will not be fixed. I'll come to that. Car power, the first contract they had, car power we pay for any generate whatever car power generate. And what car power does, and there was no measure to actually have the real figures on what they generated on. Car power were making up numbers. We are paying a lot of money for car power. And car power would generate and destroy it in our network, in the grid. And that was overloading the shadow. Because what was happening is because Kotu is operating, Brikama is operating. Now, when they've sent it, all the, what they generate, that's what they want to justify the money. And we hear Nesun line see them overloading shadows. They don't care. They make sure they are in business. They make sure they will have another contract, buy here, bribe. They have a regional, they have a country residence coordinate and borrow and take care of those people. Now, those are the things we should look at. I will not be here to celebrate something that I have not looked at holistically. The project should be sustainable. Kappa one. Two. Well, Masari, the same person, the same people that were scamming us with Yaya Jame are still scamming us. They are taking money directly to Barrow. And now Masari is just, they're scamming us. They're giving us substandard fuel. The fuel quality is substandard. They are over-inflating the invoices. When they go for the bid, when they bid for contract, when it's about, let me give you an example. They go and bid on the bid, and they would, because of they buy the board and they buy the people acting on it. Now he will give it, but next minute he would outbid the other people because of the cost of his bid. One, his standard of fuel is poor and is going to cost us more to change filters and other things and undermine the engines. The substandard fuel, one. The amount he's charging us is not worth the fuel he's giving us, one. Two, the amount of fuel being paid for, it's not the amount of fuel being delivered. Two. Three, after agreeing on the price, he will increase the charges by including other cost. He have a monopoly. Not that the people in charge don't know. Now, because of they are getting money from Masari, and Masari is taken care of. That's another corruption. That's another incompetence. Now, a new management came in and brought John Jatta back on contract. According to people that know, John Jatta was the most qualified generator engineer in Narek. Why did they get him out? Or they don't want to work with him? Because he's more straightforward than them. He doesn't take their bullshit. They terminated George Jatta's contract. Now, the people in charge, most of them, they don't have any other experience apart from Narek. Their education is limited on fix. You know those apprenticeship, tough, 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 tough. That's what they operate this thing. Now you have a new plant and you don't have the capacity to take care of the plant, to maintain that plant. That plant is, quickly going to go down in the ground with all the other compounding problems, the procurement and everything. Now, what is going to happen? They will keep on. You know how much money he's been spent to now since? Go and find out how much the World Bank, how much other places, billions, and still now we are in trouble, and we'll continue to be in trouble because the problem is not throwing money into it. The problem is getting the right leadership, and Barrow would always be part of the problem because the corruption start from Barrow. They give him kickbacks. That's why he have the permanent secretary for investment at State House. It has never happened. Even the IJM has never done that. This is the situation we have. That's why when people said, why not support the Indian Ocean project? Go and say that to other people. Go and say, show me, and I'll get you why I'm not supporting it. It's not about I'm the power station. And yet a power station is trying to solve the problem. And I'll tell you one thing. They are signing on another 50 megawatts, which we don't need. It's not 20 megawatts. There is already a plant for solar, which is coming into being. That solar plant, if you manage well, we don't need the other plant. But other plant, they are taking it because of procurement. You get to go to deal to gas have the kickbacks. And next government coming will be shadowed with a contract. The feasibility studies were not done, where they agree on a project, they don't have a site for the project. They agree on a project, they don't have a feasibility studies for not the side of the project, because you have other downstream services you have for one and it's not happening. And in fact, the feasibility studies in here, I forgot this is because they need the importation of the fuel. It's not using heavy fuel or this thing. This is very complex, but they don't care. The Minister of Energy and NAREC are just the same. It's about corruption and incompetence. But as I said, finally, I have to close the program here. We have to do something about this. It's not about criticizing Bao. It's about what we do, especially people which do know how. So we have to be part of this. The political parties have to be more serious and hold on to use policy and engage the people. The people feel it, they know it, but win them over. Don't let this so-called mobilization based on a patrons that you think they are influencer. And some of these people are influencer because Yaya Jammeh gave them the authority. They have no influence today. Even their own families cannot be guaranteed to vote for any party. The Gambians are there to be convinced that you have the leadership and you prescribe the solutions and they can trust you to deliver that. That's what we need. We don't need anything to go on about tribe or anything else. But ultimately, what we need from political party leaders right now is to guarantee the peace and stability of the country. And us too, we have to be responsible for alterations, what we do or how we act. The country is volatile. We are sitting on a ticking time bomb. There are fuses everywhere. Multiple fuses, time to go off. The youths are unemployed. Youths are frustrated. They don't have hope anymore. And they're taking the back way and now they're coming back. What else would they do? What is managing that? The armed forces, you have seen the parliamentary visits. And that's the tip of the iceberg. They're complaining. parliamentary visits. I know that we are not looking at that, but the newspapers are covering that, and the soldiers are complaining. We are sitting on a ticking time bomb, and we should not. Gambia, we have an opportunity. Let's take this opportunity and to be strategic and make sure we bring about change. Thank you very much, and have a good evening. Thank you.